Hello Rapbars, it's Jade Plays Games. Welcome back to another Game Alert show. Your look at all your favourite game updates, what's happening with patches, all in one place. Today we're looking at PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. The September update is about to drop. In it is a bunch of new stuff, some hidden information about the brand new map that is coming to PUBG, and confirmation that the Xbox One version is on schedule and it's going to be the same price as PC. We're going to take a look at the patch notes in a second, but anyone hopeful of vaulting and climbing being implemented soon, think again. It looks like the team are slowly taking their time with it to make sure it's okay. It was recently shown off at one of the Gamescom or E3 trailers that you would be able to climb cars, walls, buildings, etc. However, they're not going to be testing it fully until early November. They may do some smaller tests before then, but they plan to put it in a testing phase for much longer come early November. Now that's a real shame. It's definitely something I would like to have seen more progress made in the game by now with some of these actual manoeuvres. So get ready to keep jumping them white picket fences. You can no longer earn battle points while being idle. They've implemented a new system that should make sure that that doesn't happen. And they've added a bunch of first person only servers for duos on the Oceania services. It looks like solo and squad in the Oceanic regions may have to wait a little bit longer. And they have announced a new schedule for test servers. Each week the test server will go up on Tuesday evening, and the actual update will come a bit later on in the week instead of it happening on a Wednesday and then being updated usually on a Thursday. So what are the actual patch notes? Well, apart from some performance issues being improved for PCs on a low end scale, as well as an optimised UI, they have finally added foggy weather. Again shown off in one of their trailers for one of their expos. The foggy weather will have a low probability. It's not going to be something that happens all the time, and it is a weather effect. It will be featured more heavily on the test servers just to see how it all works. And there is now a brand new town to explore on the actual original map. You can now change your crosshair colour. A bunch of new fixes and improvements for things like teammates' names now being shown what their current posture is, i.e. standing, crouching, prone. A new keybind to mark your current position on the map. A new keybind to centre the map around the current player's position. Also a bunch of new key bindings using consumables in whatever way you want. So lots and lots of small fixes. I'm not going to go through all of them single ones. But of course, as ever, I'll leave the link in the description down below. Go and check it out. They've implemented brand new settings across all gameplay settings. So now distances of shadows will now be the same no matter what graphics card you're using. That way it stops people from having an upper hand. If you get knocked out while underwater, you pretty much will start to drown. You will have a breath gauge, and once that runs out, you will die. They've adjusted the balance of loads of weapons. They've increased the crossbow reload speed by 35%. The Tommy gun has been removed from care packages and becomes a world spawn. It now supports attachments such as the silencer, vertical foregrip, and magazines. So if you ever want to be a 1920s gangster, you can go mad even more. Horizontal recoil scale has now been clamped for greater consistency for weapons with high horizontal recoils. And you can now holster grenades by switching to another weapon or unarmed state unless the grenades have already been cooked. The firing mode of weapons will now stay consistent with the firing mode that was selected after dropping a weapon and picking it up back again. And they've adjusted the collision damage of motorcycles. There's brand new recoil animations for all weapons. They've adjusted animations and balances of throwables. They've reduced the fuse time of flash grenades to 2.5 seconds. They've made the frag grenade more lethal. They've improved the animations for throwing the actual grenade, so that means you'll be able to do it quicker. And now cooking the grenade is now a manual button. And if you've ever wanted just to roll one like a bowling ball, you can now do that. There is a button or a default key where you can actually select to chuck it overhead or roll it. The movement speed of the character throwing it now affects the trajectory of it. And they've improved things like leaning animation towards the left, and sprinting will no longer prevent regeneration of breath gauge and will stop leaning state automatically. And you can now change your stance if you want to crouch or go prone without cancelling any type of reload. They've got a bunch of new sound improvements. I'm not necessarily going to go through them. And a bunch of fixes to do with map falling under the map, etc, etc. There's brand new first person leaderboards for all regions with FPP. And the big one till last, the brand new gun item has been added. The Mini 14 is a lightweight compact 5.56 semi-automatic marksman rifle. The weapon uses sniper rifle attachments for both the muzzle and magazine slots and can take any type of optic sight. This weapon now has lower damage stats than any other DMRs, which is compensated by very high muzzle velocity and low bullet drop. Be interesting to see how that actually plays out. Are you hyped about this update? It has been a while. Has the game grown a little bit stale, or have you just been quite happy playing on the hype machine that is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds? With 9 million copies sold, fast approaching 10 million, there seems to be no stopping the juggernaut that is PUBG. With its release coming to Xbox One at some point in the next 3 months, it's going to be a busy time for all PlayerUnknown team, and that seems to be the case of why they're taking more time with their updates. And for information about the brand new map, now hold your horses, it doesn't look like this map's going to be implemented anytime soon. In fact, we'll be lucky if this map drops before Christmas. However, the map is set in the desert and data miners have given a bunch of information, including this screenshot of the minimap. There's not going to be any large bodies of water, no actual seas or rivers. And at the moment, the biggest city seems to be this town called Hard Luck. Now, some of these names I'm surely think will change. I'm pretty sure that some of these names are purely just in dev names. The idea of running around the map where places are called Murderland, Fracture and Dirtbag sounds pretty out there. It's also confirmed that the map won't necessarily be as small as people had thought. Originally they announced the map would be about half the size of the current one, meaning there would be much more firefights. Brendan Green says for 100 players an 8x8 just makes more sense, and it gives more flexibility when we move into custom games and things like that. So let's take a quick look at the map again. Like I said, I can see some of these names definitely not staying the same. It's very interesting though to see that one of the places is called Zombie. Now, are these red blobs actual buildings? It raises the possibility that they may be even adding something like zombies to the main game. I highly doubt it, but just going by the name of it, it does seem like something's up with that name up there. I really truly don't expect these names to stay the same. So as soon as we get any more information about what they're actually going to be called and how the map's progressing, I'll let you guys know. What is interesting though is that it does seem to be 2 craters, giving more idea to the theory that it is set in some post-apocalypse map. Maybe these craters were created by nuclear missiles or heavy barrages. I can't wait for PUBG to come to console. I know I have it on PC and I am looking to play it a little bit more in the future. But there's something about just running around on the Xbox with a big bunch of my rat bags that I really am looking forward to. So Bluehole, the company behind Battlegrounds, announced some of their profits and how many copies they've sold. They're approaching 10 million copies sold now. Alongside that information, they did say that the Xbox One version is looking pretty sweet. It's running bang on course. No actual official date, but expect it to be around November, December of this year. They also revealed that it's going to be the same price. They're not going to hike it up like pretty much every other games company does just for console. There shouldn't be any type of $5 or $10 markup. It's going to be the same price. That might be down to obviously the 10 million sales they've already made. They're not just being nice. The game is going to heavily incentivize transactions in the future. Think CSGO, that's exactly the same sort of thing that PUBG is going for in the future. And it's going to be vanity items just like CSGO. It remains to be seen how well that will go down with people. Loot boxes and loot crates seem to be all the rage, and they're kind of just ripping off people. But people keep buying them, so game companies are going to carry on doing them. Until that time when we say no, we are going to basically just get shafted for cosmetic items that probably 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, would have been free. And they're still running away from definitely saying it's coming to the PS4. All the developers are saying that they haven't got any plans to announce, that it's simply just a console exclusive launch. Whereas Xbox reps have recently been saying it's down to Bluehole, you should talk to the developers. Lots of these interview questions were asked at both sides during multiple events over the last couple of months, and they've both been saying the same thing. Stay tuned for this space. Otherwise it's going to be a console launch exclusive. So anyone still doubting whether it's coming to the PS4, you've got to have a bullet in your head. It will be coming to the PS4. They're simply doing their PR speak that they like to do to make people feel like they're going to sell that one system. And it's a big coup coming to Xbox One, make no mistake. Them getting their hands on it first, even in early access, is a big boost for their company sales. Currently PlayStation are still outselling them 2-to-1 consoles, so they need more games like this to really turn the tide and get people playing on Xbox. Whether or not you hate one, whether or not you love one, both consoles are fantastic in my eyes, and I'm looking forward to playing it on both of them when they actually release on both. As soon as we get any more information about the confirmed date of that, I'll let you know. Overall, I still say, and I've said it about 3 times now in the last 3 months, I do feel like progress on PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds seems to have slowed to a crawl. Considering their big sweeping statements they would get the game out of early access within 6 months, swiftly changing that to now 9 months to a year, as well as all the information and overload of things like the loot crates and the bit of a fiasco over cheating, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has had a bit of a rough 6 weeks. Fingers crossed this update does mean it's going to kick on a bit more, and while we might not see as many frequent updates, we're hoping that these updates will include even more items, gear and changes. With 10 million players nearly, they really do need to keep the ball rolling. As ever, I'm Jade Plays Games. For all your game updates, patch notes, information, make sure you've got notifications turned on. If there's a game you want me to cover and you think I'd be interested in it, hit me up and I'll go and check it out. Until next time on Game Alert, I'll see you ratbags later.